Welcome to the Joe Cohen Show. Join me as I share my experience with biohacking and invite top health experts to explore the latest technology, supplements, research, and resources for optimizing your body and brain. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about what are some of the natural GLP-1 agonists. There's a lot of drugs out there that increase GLP-1. They're mainly used for diabetes and weight loss, and there's a growing amount of people that are really using these tools successfully. There's different generations of them. But the bottom line is when you increase GLP-1, you increase weight loss, and it's also good for blood sugar. It mainly works it can increase insulin, but it also decreases hunger, and there's other mechanisms involved as well. I'm not going to get into that, but the main idea that I want to discuss is what are some of the natural GLP-1 agonists? Now, before we get into it, I want to be clear that there's nothing that's going to work as powerfully as these drugs. The way that drugs work in general is that they're very strong in one particular mechanism, whereas natural stuff, they work less in one particular mechanism, but they work more broadly. And the reason why I take a lot of supplements is because basically, if you want to work on a lot of pathways, you have to take a lot of things, whereas instead of just going very strong on one thing. And so if you want to, let's say, lower your cholesterol, for example, let's say if somebody wanted to do that, a drug is going to be the most effective approach, especially certain drugs. Now, if you wanted to lower your cholesterol a little bit, but also do a whole bunch of other things, for example, we'll take an example like berberine. Okay, so that is one of the things that I recommend to increase GLP-1. Now, berberine doesn't only work on GLP-1, it also works on lowering cholesterol. It works in other mechanisms in lowering blood sugar. But in terms of just GLP-1, it's not going to be as strong as these GLP-1 agonists. It's probably not even close, to be honest. So what you want to look for is, if you're going to be doing this approach, first of all, you want to make sure that these things that are going to increase GLP-1, this natural stuff, actually causes weight loss. So what I'm going to go through is 3 of the most important GLP-1 agonists that not only activate that pathway, they activate other pathways, they're generally healthy, and they cause weight loss. And I'll give you one bonus one as well. So we're going to talk about 4 altogether that I think are important for increasing GLP-1. This is what helps me have a six-pack. I go to the gym on average once a week. There's times where I don't go. There was a time in the past year I didn't go for 2 months, right? There's times where I go twice a week. 3 times a week is probably the max. I don't think I've gone more than 3 times a week in the past year. But the idea is that if I, let's say, average it, there's no way I went more than 50 times in the past year. So we're talking about not more than once a week to the gym, and I have a six-pack, and I don't have a lot of fat. And again, I'm not a exercise buff. I just do the minimum that I need to be as healthy as possible. It's not, or if I enjoy it, I'm going to do it for that reason. And usually if I'm doing it because I enjoy it, it's usually I'm going overboard sometimes. And I actually get healthier when I take some breaks. But essentially, I'm going to go, people see my pictures, they want to know, okay, how do you do this? One of the ways, and it's hard for me to explain it because there's a lot of ways that I do it, but one of the ways is through this GLP-1. I don't take any GLP-1 agonists, but I do take some supplements. These 4 supplements I do take, and I think they do help lose weight. Now, there's probably some others that are going to also work in that mechanism. When I say probably, there's definitely some others, but I don't think they're going to be enough to even warrant talking about them, or there's not good enough studies for weight loss. So I'm only going to talk about the 4 things that, number 1, there's clinical studies that show they improve weight loss in humans. And number 2 is they show that they work on this GLP-1 pathway. Yeah, so again, but if you take all these 4 things together, now it could be more significant in terms of the GLP-1 activity. And so I think that overall, like, I would say that I don't really have a huge appetite. Like, I could eat a lot less, and probably some of that has to do with the GLP-1 activity from some of these natural stuff that I will be telling you about. Let's go through some of the things, and we'll go through some of the studies as well. So the first we're going to start with is resistant starch, okay? And resistant starch, let's see. Yeah, this is the studies for resistant starch. So I want to just take you through 2 studies. There's more studies, by the way, but I'm just going to take you through 2. One is Resistant starch intake facilitates weight loss in humans by reshaping the gut microbiota. And what you could see is this study's published in Nature Metabolism. It's a good journal. We showed that RS supplementation for 8 weeks. And by the way, the one that they're using is exactly the one that I sell, which is Joe's Resistant Starch here. So if you look on the market, they're all going to be potato starch, a lot of bad shit that's going to cause brain fog and gut problems. I've tried them all. It's really bad. The one that they used here is the same one that is sold there. So it's important to know that, because I think they're all probably going to have a similar effect on weight loss, but the other ones can cause other problems like gut issues, gut inflammation, brain fog, just random inflammation that I got personally. And that's one of the reasons why I searched for one that wasn't giving me problems. This is the only one that did it. So I think it's very important which one you get. The one from Joe's Resistant Starch is the only one that I would recommend. Now, so just looking at the clinical trials, this is one of the more recent ones, February 2024, but there's other ones as well. And you can see 37 participants were overweight. They took 90 grams of the resistant starch. And interesting, they also say supplementation with B. adolescentis, a species that is markedly associated with the alleviation of obesity in the study participants, protects mice from male-induced obesity. This resistant starch works partially through changing the gut microbiome, especially this B. adolescentis. B. adolescentis. Try to say that fast. And now I want to go through some of the other mechanisms, because that is one approach, but I also think this change also increased GLP-1. So you see the importance of GLP-1 and PYY in resistant starch effects on body fat in mice. So this is not the only one. There's many studies that I've seen looking at mechanistically how these things work. And what they're doing is they're knocking out this receptor, this GLP-1 receptor, in the resistant starch. And they're seeing, okay, do these mice lose weight? And what they found out is that there's two mechanisms that are very important. One is GLP-1, one is PYY. What we see is, based on these mechanistic studies, GLP-1 is important. And we also see overall that resistant starch causes weight loss, especially certain ones. Now, if we look at resistant starch and self-decode, let's see what are some of the benefits. It comes up as number 45 for me. That's interesting. This is one of the things that are most important. And I'll just quickly go through some of the things that I like about it. This is what comes up for me, things that I care about: food allergies, gut inflammation, low mood. I could say for certain, I've been taking this for, let's say, 13 years. It's helped with all these quite a lot. So mood, stamina, definitely help with all these things. These are some of my DNA risks. So these are the things that I listed as having had in the past. And you can see, actually, I have predisposed to lower GLP-1 levels, which is interesting. So you could go and check and see. We have a special report on that. So you could look at the report, how resistant starch helps with GLP-1 in a non-placebo controlled trial, 19 healthy normal weight volunteers, supplementation, 40 grams a day, increased GLP-1 levels. Actually, I was looking at the mouse study, but I should have looked in self-decode, because they also have a human study apparently. Resistant starch in those with prediabetes. So basically, it seems like it has an effect, but not always, okay? Which is important to understand. But either way, it's going to help with weight loss. I do think if you look at the totality of the studies, it seems like it does help with GLP-1. And let's look at this. Predisposed to lower GLP-1. There's 11 recommendations. Predisposed to based on 3 genetic variants. And you could also look at the labs related to GLP-1. So fasting glucose, insulin, C-peptide, hemoglobin A1C, a lipid panel. These are all related to GLP-1. And let's look at some of the recommendations in general. So eat fiber-rich foods, but if you actually look into it, what's the best fiber food? It's going to be resistant starch. So that's why it's not just fiber-rich foods in general. Extra virgin olive oil, what is the evidence there? In line with this, with olive oil increased GLP-1 levels in several trials on healthy volunteers, prediabetes subjects. Interesting, olive oil increases GLP-1. So now let's continue to go through it. We have whey protein. So it seems like some of the amino acids are going to increase GLP-1. This is part of the natural mechanism, actually, by which your body knows, hey, your body basically is increasing GLP-1 in response to certain dietary signals, right? And amino acids is going to be one of them. That's why whey protein. Glutamine is another one. So people take glutamine for satiety. Glutamine is an amino acid that plays a role in various bodily functions. Okay, so increased circulating GLP-1 in both healthy individuals and type 2 diabetics. That is very interesting. So glutamine is one of the signals. I take glutamine, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't have such a big appetite. Resistant starch, I would put this as number one for me. I think it has the biggest effect, especially for also looking at weight loss. Extra virgin olive oil also has some studies with weight loss, whey protein, fiber-rich foods in general. So there's things that guar gum is just another fiber, but I think resistant starch is going to be better. Dietary protein is basically, it's giving anything that has clinical trials on here. But if we want to make this simple, I think resistant starch is going to be my number one. Protein and amino acids is going to be number two, specifically glutamine. Olive oil is a good one as well. Chicory is going to be a type of fiber. Cinnamon is going to be an independent mechanism. So this shows adding cinnamon to rice pudding increased postprandial GLP-1 secretion. There you go. So cinnamon is going to be good as well. Chewing, again, that's a sign that your body should start getting satiated. So that's why it'll increase GLP-1. And one of the reasons why resistant starch is the best, and in general, probiotics as well. So it's not on here because it's resistant starch and butyrate is going to do the job. And I don't know if there's clinical trials for probiotics, but there's a lot of probiotics that increase butyrate, and so does resistant starch, actually does it the most. And so that's why resistant starch has a 1-2 effect. The actual fiber is going to increase GLP-1, but then additionally, butyrate itself is going to increase GLP-1. So sodium butyrate, both alone and in combination with inulin, raised GLP-1 levels in a placebo-controlled trials of 60 patients with type 2 diabetes. So this is when they give butyrate alone. But to take butyrate, it's very annoying. It doesn't taste good. I don't generally recommend it. You're better off taking the thing that's going to, you take some probiotics, you take some resistant starch, together it just becomes a butyrate factory. How it helps. Okay, so food allergies, symptoms, conditions, gut inflammation. So it's also going to help with these things as well, gut inflammation. And that's some of the main ways. So there's resistant starch, there's amino acids, extra virgin olive oil, cinnamon. And let's also look at each one of these things. So resistant starch, we see that it helps with gut inflammation, overweight, metabolic syndrome, cholesterol, blood pressure, anxiety. I can say that this definitely helps with anxiety and mood. Insulin resistance, endurance, metabolic syndrome. It also helps with these other things as well. I could see which labs it's helping me with. So it helps with fasting glucose. It helps with kidney function, general glucose levels, lowers the inflammation. And so that's why resistant starch is one of the critical things in my regimen. I've been taking this for a long time. Now let's go to berberine. And again, when we look at the resistant starch study, it's 2.8 kilograms, which how many pounds is that? So it's 2.8 times 2.2. That's more than 6 pounds in 8 weeks. That's almost a pound a week, which is, it's 0.75 pounds a week or something, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. So the weight loss effect is quite significant. It's equivalent to what we would see with a GLP-1 agonist, but I think it's working in different ways, not only in the GLP-1 way. If we look at berberine, what is this helping me with? Gut inflammation. Okay, it also helps with colorectal cancer, irritable bowel syndrome, diarrhea, heart failure, gut microbiome diversity. These are some of the other things. It's also going to help with, like you could see, overweight. If we click on this, how berberine helps with being overweight. It may reduce weight by decreasing appetite, improving the gut microbiome, improving sugar and fat metabolism. In general, and they're using 300 to 500 milligrams a day. So there's 4 clinical trials here and it seems to have a decent effect, berberine, in terms of weight loss. I would say Resistant starch is going to be number 1. Berberine is going to be my number 2 approach. Cinnamon, maybe extra virgin olive oil is number 3, although you're also still getting calories from it. Whey protein, there's a lot of research for eating more protein that it's going to reduce weight. And cinnamon, I think, has some studies for weight loss. I don't think it's too significant, to be honest, that it comes up for GLP-1 overweight. So cinnamon has been shown to modestly reduce BMI, body weight, waist to hip ratio in various studies. So this is something I didn't know. I knew that it had some effect, but I didn't realize it was more noticeable. The effects are more notable in individuals under 50 years with a higher initial BMI. Higher doses, more than 2 grams a day, and longer use enhance these benefits. However, its impact on waist circumference and body fat mass is less clear. So there's there's about 6 clinical trials that we've brought down here that seem to show that cinnamon helps with weight. So that is going to be one of the top ones for sure. So if I'm going to go for, if people want to know my top natural GLP-1 agonist, resistant starch is going to be number 1. Berberine is going to be number 2. Whey protein, or just making sure you include enough protein, is going to be number 3. Cinnamon is going to be number 4. And I'll include an extra one of extra virgin olive oil. Now, if you're taking resistant starch and you have the bacteria for butyrate, which almost everybody does, then it'll increase butyrate. Most of these probiotics, you could also take probiotics that could help with increasing GLP-1, but most of the time it's going to work through increasing butyrate. So it is not going to have an additional effect than the resistant starch alone. It could have a little bit because sometimes they work independently. So I would say probiotics would be number 5. I lied about the top 4 methods. I got 5 in the end. Yeah, so this is, let's see. So this is the importance of GLP-1, resistant starch. Berberine metabolites stimulate GLP-1 secretion. And then here, effects of 1 and 3 grams of cinnamon on gastric emptying. 3 grams reduced insulin and increased GLP-1 concentrations without significantly affecting blood glucose, GIP, the ghrelin concentration satiety, or GER in healthy subjects. Again, I recommend this Joe's Resistant Starch. You get on Amazon. You could also get on getjoe.co. And that's the only supplement that I actually sell. That is my approach to increasing GLP-1. Again, it's not going to be as strong in that one way as the drugs, but I think if you include all these things, you will definitely see weight loss. And the more things you include, the better you'll work. So if you're eating more protein, you're taking in at least 40 grams of the resistant starch. That study used 90 grams, by the way, but I find if you take in more than 40, you're just going to fart a lot, whereas 40 seems to be okay. Extra virgin olive oil is good, but it also has more calories, so you don't want to go crazy with it. Overall, it's generally healthy. It causes weight loss. Glutamine is more going to help with satiety, helps with food allergies as well. Interesting. Yeah, it does, apparently. So meta-analysis of 25 trials concluded that supplementation with glutamine reduces weight and neutrophil counts. Interesting. In line with this, genetically lower levels may be causally associated with elevated BMI. This is very interesting. You see, I learn new things on self-decode all the time, to be honest. Comes up as number 47. I do take this. You could see it's part of my action plan. And yeah, I would say that taking glutamine is a good idea. So actually, if you think about it, I actually do everything here. I take cinnamon. And by the way, I'm not even trying to lose weight, just to be clear. I take a lot of fiber-rich foods. I take extra virgin olive oil. I take whey protein. I take glutamine, 20 grams a day. So any brand of glutamine is fine. I take 40 grams or 45 grams actually of Joe's Resistant Starch. I take 3 grams of cinnamon. I take 100 grams of whey protein a day, so 50 grams twice a day. Extra virgin olive oil, I'll try to take 1 to 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. The butyrate, I have a butyrate supplement. I think I'm just trying to finish it, but I'm not going to rebuy it. I think the probiotics plus the resistant starch is more than enough. I think I just bought a lot of it once, and I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. So I would say really what you want to focus, like I do all this stuff here. I consume a high dietary protein diet. I would say somebody like me who's doing all this stuff, it doesn't make sense to take a GLP-1 agonist. And I think if you do all these things, think about it. Just this alone, resistant starch, you lose 6 pounds in 8 weeks. Whey protein, you're going to get a couple pounds in. Extra virgin olive oil, glutamine, cinnamon. Each thing you get a couple pounds in, before you know it, it's like you can lose 15 pounds in 8 weeks, which is pretty crazy, especially if you reduce your calories a bit. It's not proven what happens when you include all these things in one shot, but I would say for myself, I never try to lose weight, and I always have a bulging six pack. And again, even though I don't work out that much, it's because as long as you can maintain the muscle a little bit, you don't have to work out that much in order to get a pretty crazy six pack. It's mostly about having reduced abdominal fat. And so I think part of that is definitely, if you think about it, look, I'm doing all these top things here, which is I don't take chicory, but I do take inulin and some other probiotics. But even before I took that, I lost a lot of weight. And then I'd also say berberine as well. I think that also helps. Definitely could cause a couple pounds of weight loss. And that's something that I take. Although I take it for periods and then I stop. It depends on how much I'm working out. The one negative side effect I think for berberine for me causes muscle aches if I do too much workouts. So if I exercise too much, I'll go through a period where I'm just doing a lot of acro yoga, a lot of exercise. If I'm traveling, I'm not. And so I don't feel any side effects. But so I think berberine is a good thing to take if you're not doing a lot of exercise. If you are, I think it could limit your gains, if you will, because you need more time for muscle recovery if you're on berberine. That's essentially what it is. Okay, if you like this, please share and subscribe. You could also follow me on Instagram, Mr. Biohacker. I'm going to try to share more experiments on Instagram. You could sign up to Self-Decode and check out the recommendations engine, see what you need to be doing. What are the top recommendations for you? What are your top risks? And yeah, so have a great day. 67% of listeners aren't subscribed to the show, so please don't forget to show your support by hitting the subscribe button now. You'll not only be supporting the show, but also investing in yourself and your health journey, all while helping keep us ad-free.